WCTC, the voice of Central Jersey. From politics to entertainment, from social issues to lifestyles, from newsmakers to pop culture. If it's Jersey, it's on Jersey Central with Burt Barron, 732-545-9282. Or toll free at 888-545-9282.
8:37, we're back on Jersey Central on the new talk radio WCTC, the voice of Central Jersey. Well, coming to the New Jersey Performing Arts Center on November 11th is going to be a terrific show. It is a live rock opera called Jethro Tull, and it's based, of course, upon the life and times of the English inventor, and, of course, Jethro Tull, the band, and Ian Anderson, the man. It's about them and about him and, of course, the great music that he's done over the years. So joining me now on the Raritan Bay Medical Center Jersey Newsmaker Hotline, very pleased to welcome in Grammy winner, rock icon Ian Anderson, who is with us here today. Hi, Ian. Hi, good morning. It's Burt Barron. How are you, sir?
Yes, I'm very well. How are you too?
I'm good. Wow, great to
Good.
talk to you, and thank you so
Yeah.
much for the time this morning. A live rock opera. Why now? Why at this time in your career?
Well, I suppose feelings of pangs of guilt, you might say, after some 48 years of being responsible for identity theft. Since our agent gave us the name Jethro Tull back in February of 1968, and I didn't realize until a couple of weeks later that he'd named us after a dead guy who invented the seed drill. So last summer, I decided to read up a little bit more about Jethro Tull, find out more about his life and times, and many of the similarities in his life as it's recorded compared to song lyrics and bits of song titles and so on over the years. I thought, wow, I've got straight away this is a great excuse to come out with another Best of Jethro Tull tour, but this time I give it a narrative. I use my songs to loosely describe the story of the original character, but essentially it's another Best of Jethro Tull tour for the toe tappers, and for those that have seen it all before, there are 5 mercifully short new songs which help round out the story.
Wow, great. And some new music, too. Were you hoping to maybe put together a platform like this to kind of get the new music out to the fans, Ian? Was that the plan?
No, really. When I decided that rather than place this narrative in the historical context of 18th century, I thought that's going to be a bit dreary. So let's reimagine Jethro Tull as if he was living today and into the near future. And so I'm really setting the scenario more in a slightly future world, say 20 years hence. And so I'm talking about the need for agricultural invention and the development of biochemistry that is going to result in the safe but increased production of more food for more people on planet Earth, especially in the face of the limiting of our resources because of climate change and its effects on the traditional crop growing and livestock rearing areas of the world. So it's a kind of a serious message, but I have to dress this up in warm and invitational terms for the toe tappers, of whom I am a member. I'm a toe tapper. You see, if I'm not having a good time tapping my toes, no one else is going to have a good time either. So we try and keep it upbeat and light, although the message behind the story is perhaps a little ominous from time to time.
Okay. I like ominous coming from Ian Anderson. And you're going to be coming to New Jersey on November 11th. A beautiful venue, Ian, the New Jersey Performing Arts Center in Newark. I do have a link on our Facebook fan page where people can purchase tickets to the show, which is going to be just an amazing night. And we're looking forward to that. But your vision of the future, I'm really intrigued by. And you've seen so much and you've done so many things and have been around the world. Is our future a rosy one, Ian, or what do you think about our future?
Well, I'm inherently an optimist. I mean, you look at the developments for which humankind has been responsible, the positive stuff, the invention, the way in which we've shared knowledge and technical innovation. I mean, I'm optimistic that we will dig ourselves out of the hole before it's too late. But it does require, an enormous awareness on the part of people that we have limited resources, and perhaps we have to be a little more ready to share them and to lessen our demands, which are often very selfish, on certain resources which we simply cannot afford to consume at the rate we're doing at the moment. But no, my view is optimistic. I'm an upbeat kind of guy. I just have a grumpy old uncle sort of exterior. You could easily think that I'm a grumpy and unpleasant old man, but in fact I'm warm and smiley underneath the stern exterior.
And I think you're a great artist, so I'm going to call you somewhere right in the middle there. So, and you just did
Yeah,
it.
that's the safe bet. Yeah.
You did a show last night, Ian. You kicked off the U.S. leg of the tour in Chicago. Talk about the reaction. Talk about what you saw in the fans last night in Chicago.
Well, you know there's going to be fans there who followed us for many, many, many years, and many of them know the music almost as well as I do. In fact, at the beginning of a tour, they probably know it better than I do because I think the Chicago show was the first after a period of 2 weeks of doing other stuff. So in 2 weeks you can forget a lot. That's inevitable. So we are back in the swing of it, and they seem to enjoy it just as much as they enjoyed it in Brazil and Argentina a couple of weeks ago, and before that in Russia, and prior to that in the UK. So in fact, I have to say that audiences throughout the world are remarkably similar in their response and the way they behave. It's not so different. I suppose we tend to exaggerate the differences, but to do it on the basis of nationality or hours in the sun, depending on where you are in the world. You are not going to find so much difference between an audience in Reykjavik in the middle of winter and a Brazilian audience in the middle of summer. I mean, the reaction is really remarkably similar. So in a way, it does have a feeling of bringing people, nations, cultures together doing what I do for a living, because you do tend to sort of draw together this commonality of interest, of enjoyment, of response, and even when I play in cathedrals, as I have a couple of those shows coming up this Christmas,
Wow.
again, after a nervous start on the part of the audience, a little unsure about the circumstances, I get them warmed up, and we then find that even in a grand medieval cathedral, we still have that feeling which comes through, even in some ways more so because of the spiritual nature of the place. But yes, New Jersey Performing Arts Center and I are all friends. We played there many times in the past. And for those coming to the show, check out jethrotull.com, and you can read all about the synopsis of the show and read all the lyrics and so on, and save yourself the costly price of a tour program when you get there.
Right. It'll be an amazing night on November 11th, of course, at the New Jersey Performing Arts Center in Newark. With Ian Anderson and the Jethro Tull, the rock opera, which is getting great reviews around the world. Will the longtime Jethro Tull fan, Ian, will they come away with a greater or maybe renewed appreciation of the great catalog of work that you've had over the years?
Well, I just have to make my best guess, don't I? Really, in terms of satisfying those that just like their meatloaf and their apple pie and ice cream. Folks who like what they like. And they don't like to be nudged out of their comfort zone too readily. I've got to make sure I appeal to those people at the same time as offering that little bit of detail, the layers of the onion that people can unpeel if they want to get behind the story or get more into detail. So I have to try to do. I have to try and make it work on 2 or 3 different levels, and that's perhaps what I like to think I'm quite good at it. Some people might say I'm very bad at it, but I'm trying to reach out to the broadest base of people possible, and I think I understand it. I sympathize with it because when I go to see some rock concert, which is very rare in my life, but when I do, I'm going to want to hear the hits. I'm going to want to hear the stuff that's familiar. But part of me says, well, that's all very well, but what are you doing now? Let me hear what your best shot is as of today. So you sometimes do want to include something that is really up to date and recent, and see if you can reach that level of interest, that level of response that you hope your newer music will get.
Yeah.
But you've got to do it sparingly, because we all know people are not coming to shows to hear new music from old bands. That doesn't work for the Rolling Stones, and it wouldn't really work for us. Although from time to time, as our fans know, I do make that brave attempt.
I think relevancy is the word. Every artist would like to maintain some level of relevancy. Ian, is that the word?
I think you want to be relevant to your own past experience and your own sort of development of your career. I mean, I think you've got to worry about you before you start worrying about other people. And I've always looked upon this as perhaps in a selfish way to say, well, I'm not here for you. I'm here for me.
Right.
I'm here for me to have a good time. And when it comes to me having a good time, that should be a kind of an infectious affair where I'm more likely to engender a good time on the part of the audience as well. But if I just show up dutifully to run through the catalogue of best known music, and I'm not really enjoying myself, I think people would pick up on that. So I've always tried to take from it what I can as a first priority, and therefore I'm out to have a good time, especially at this age. I deserve it.
Of course, of course. And again, November 11th, New Jersey Performing Arts Center in Newark with the Ian Anderson, the Jethro Tull Opera. Get those tickets. They're going to be going very quickly, I'm sure, now. So get the tickets for what's going to be an incredible evening with the great Ian Anderson. And one last thing for you, Ian. I do have to give you kudos on this. When this tour is over, you're going to be heading back to the Edinburgh Zoo Education Center. You're doing a very special show for wildcat conservation. Talk about why this is something else you're so passionate about.
Well, I actually did that last week. That was one of the couple of things I did in my week off after returning from Brazil. I went up to Edinburgh to do a little chat to the Royal Zoological Society of Scotland, and we invited members of the public to come to a little brief talk and slideshow, and talked about small wildcats, and particularly the Scottish wildcat, our only native species of cat in not only in Scotland but in fact in northwestern Europe, the Felis sylvestris, the wildcat of Europe. And so that was really a fundraiser trying to get money for further research and development and camera traps, and ultimately to try and preserve what is a species that is almost now non-existent. There are just a tiny handful of them left in remote parts of the Scottish mountains. But that was that. And then the other thing I did was I played at the Jack Bruce tribute concert. Jack Bruce, the bass player of Cream, who died last year. We did a tribute concert at the Roundhouse in London, and 35 musicians took to the stage to perform works of Cream and Jack Bruce in memory of Jack, and to raise money for his favorite children's cancer charity. So that was another slightly demanding affair.
Yeah.
But it was good fun, and I met some old friends and made some new friends in the world of singing bass players, because we had quite a lot of those.
I'm sure. Well, great to talk to you, Ian. You're making the world a better place, and trying to leave a better world for the next generation than the one that we have. And the message is we weren't just born to consume, Ian. I think that's what we want to get across, because there's a generation of people that's following us, and I want to leave the world a better place. I know you do too. But thank you
Yeah,
for your
well,
time this morning, and
it's a great pleasure. Very nice to talk to you.
we'll see you in Newark coming up on November 11th, my friend. All right.
Brilliant.
All right. Thank you. Ian Anderson, the great Ian Anderson from Jethro Tull, my guest here on Jersey Central.